What is your weakest link? This is a really great topic because, no matter how evolved we get, how much we've read and studied and meditated and all that, it's inevitable. It's amazing to me how people keep coming to me and saying, why do I still have an issue and so on. I've been meditating. Why do I have an issue? I do A Course in Miracles. Why do I have an issue? It's very important, guys, to change what you can and accept what you cannot. It doesn't mean you cannot. It means right now you cannot. Maybe, at one time you could have before you had certain belief systems that were off, limited. Maybe you will in the future, but right now it doesn't seem like it's happening. It might even, right now could be this day, this week, this month, this year, this lifetime. But it's like not to get too bound up about it. So what is your weakest link? Do you know? You might feel like you have more than one for that matter. But your weakest link will be the thing that most recurs in your life. When you think back to your whole life, through your whole life, what is it that kind of haunts you? Is it I'm still looking for approval from my father or mother or whatever. I'm still dealing with betrayal or rejection. What is the thing that just keeps coming back to you? Yours could be health. It could be finances. And it's a funny thing because somebody can say, I have corrected so many areas of my life, but this one thing just keeps coming back. And it will. You got to be careful not to keep trying to impose perfection on an imperfect world. It is an imperfect world. Now, there's going to be someone out there going, oh, that's a negative affirmation, man. It's not very empowering. Go watch somebody else that's more shallow, because I'm telling you in the depths of your being, it's okay. It's okay, like Yogananda said. It's okay to recognize this is not your home. Don't try to project perfection on an imperfect world. This world is one of imperfection, the one you see. Like the yogis have said for thousands of years, any of the world that you can experience through your senses is an illusion. It's when you move beyond the senses. That's why they devote so much of their time and energy into beyond the senses, getting beyond the senses, getting into the supernatural self that can experience the supernatural world. The downside is it's very extreme the way many teachers, yogis do it. And then there's other groups of people who try the abstinence from everything, abstaining from food, abstaining from sex, abstaining from whatever. Not just pleasures, but even things of the world. And again, it's a bit extreme. What Christ consciousness has tried to teach us, being that it is the highest level of consciousness available to mankind, and it is trying to teach us. All the other forms of teachings are fine, and it's the Buddhist this and the Hindu that and whatever. It's all fine for those who resonate with that path. But you could really save yourself a lot of time and a lot of aggravation by just learning the power of acceptance. And I have other videos I've done just on acceptance, some for pay and some for free. Check out whichever you'd like, okay? Just on the topic of acceptance, the power of acceptance. But again, we change what we can, and we learn to say, yeah, but I've been so spiritual. Why would this happen to me? Now, even asking the question is okay. It's normal. It's quite all right. You could be on your way home from a meditation class and have, twist an ankle and go, how could this be happening? Edgar Cayce. I mean, how many people did he help? The work of Edgar Cayce has probably reached more people in the New Thought, New Age, and even the holistic health realm than any other individual. I mean, that's some pretty powerful testimonials. Now, I'm not saying he's been more effective or far-reaching than a religious figure like a Buddha or Gandhi or something. I'm talking about in the New Age world, metaphysical world, New Thought world, and so forth. You'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who hasn't heard of or been affected by Cayce in some way. Even if you say, well, I never got into Cayce, I can tell you this, your teachers did get into Cayce. And if they didn't, their teachers did. That's how far-reaching the work of Edgar Cayce is. It's basically like saying there's no holistic health field and no metaphysical New Age field that hasn't been touched by Cayce in some way. He was talking osteopathy before it became popular. He was talking homeopathy before it became popular. He really expressed so many different ways of the Spirit of God moving through us in this world, improving the world and our belief systems. But this isn't a sales pitch for Casey. That's just planting a seed and landing some roots there where they're well deserved. My point is to say this: Casey, all of his work, and yet more than once, he went bankrupt, because he had this thing. Jesus refers to this in A Course in Miracles diary notes with Helen, who wrote the course. Jesus makes reference to this about Casey, that because of his deeply religious beliefs inside, he would not allow himself to be prosperous. So as much as Casey could do ABC and all the way to ABC and all the way to Z, why did he struggle financially? And he didn't struggle as much with his kids. He didn't struggle as much with his wife. He had daily stuff, challenges, normal challenges, but they weren't the bane of his existence. Finances, more than once, man, he went broke. And here's a guy who's helping everybody that he can help. Thousands of people. At that time, when information network isn't there, to be able to help as many people as he did. I mean, he did readings for U.S. presidents and gave them guidance on war and how to bring wars to a close. I mean, he helped so many people in so many areas, the medical profession and so on and so on. He helped many people become multimillionaires in the stock market, but he wouldn't allow it for himself because his inner religious, not spiritual, religious conscience made him think it was wrong or bad. That's his weak link. I'm not saying he doesn't have other human tendencies or frailties here and there, but definitely that was one weak link for him, especially because he at one point created a holistic hospital. There weren't very many in the early 1900s, right? A holistic clinic and hospital. That was his dream. It's like, well, what could be better? The channeled healing information being put to practice to save lives and save, ailments and aches and whatever. And yet they put it together, and when the stock market crashed and when the depression began, I guess, it closed. The support wasn't there anymore. And it's a bummer because so many people were helped by him and they weren't looking to help him when the chips were down for Casey. And that's a lot of what happens in this world. But there it is, Casey, a weak link. So guys, what is it for you? What happens for you? Is it that you just can't seem to manifest healthy partnership? And I'm not picking on anyone. I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm saying, you know what? If you die tomorrow and you're a really, 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 really good person without a partner, do you think that not having a partner is going to affect you on the other side? Do you think they're not letting you into the gates of heaven because you didn't have a partner while you were on earth? Guys, it's all right. Be a good person. That's all that really matters. In fact, the weak link is your ultimate test in this lifetime. So I'm not saying God says I'm going to make you lack something to have a test. I'm saying it is self-created, true, but it can be put to good use, which is this will expose that which is a test, for lack of a better word. And it'll expose my weak link. Why would I expose a weak link? So I can strengthen the weak link. So yours could be, oh my God, I'm prosperous, I'm a good person, great family, but I'm ill. It could be illness. And all I say is change what you can. Hit things from all sides. If it's finances, do what you can to work on the finances. Hit it from different angles. Look at budgeting, look at belief systems, look at hypnotherapy, whatever. And I believe, in my experience from my life and people I've taught over the years, it's almost never happened that people's lives in all categories improved. And many of you, I think, could and would testify to that. But all areas improved because I lay out things in such a way, like in our every January having our Co-Creating a New Life course. It's laid out in a way that we take responsibility for all the categories. We don't hide the one that's a missing link and expect it to improve itself. The one that's a weak link and expect it just to get better on its own. So what we do is, take a bit of a survey, an inventory on your life and see, are there weak links? And then let's look at why, belief systems, family patterning, whatever it happens to be. I don't say go and blame one thing and then commiserate. I say whatever you find to be at the roots of it, fine, uproot them and let them dissipate. Move on. It's like Jesus' parable of the fig tree. A lot of people get all weird about that. They don't understand that at all. They get into this. The moral of the story is this fig tree made Jesus angry because the master wanted a piece of fruit and it didn't have any. So he's like, oh, gonna have some of that here, huh? You're gonna give me some of this no fruit on the tree? Well, I'm just gonna wipe you out and kill. That's not what happened. Deny me a fig, man, you're up creek. That's not what happened. So it's it's a matter of metaphor. Something not bearing fruit, goodbye to the fig tree. Now it can get recycled into the earth and allow more energy towards other plants. Not only biologically, like it literally biodegrades and so forth, but he's talking about energetically too. So he's saying in your life, it's okay. If some area really, really isn't going to produce, then say goodbye to it and it'll recycle. I call those leaks. Areas of our life that we're leaking energy that we could recycle and put forward in some other form that we're not thinking about because we're obsessed on that one that we insist on it coming through, and it may not be, not meant to be. So think about what might be your weakest link. I would say try to assess what might be your weakest link, your most common recurring pattern. It might be the most dramatic pattern, meaning how much it grips you, causes you pain and stress, or it might be just simply how often it comes up, or third, it might be both. So it could be how dramatic, how repetitive, or how dramatically repetitive. In some cases, that's what happens. I do believe that if you change your mind, you change your life. But even then, guys, the ego that we have is not going to just say, well, now that you read a good book or watched an amazing video presentation, I'm just going to retire. The ego self, the part of us that believes in limitation, we'll call it that, the part of us that tends to be afraid, will look for some weak link because we're strengthening ourselves. We're strengthening and strengthening. It's going to look for the weak link, a place where it can say, twist the knife in a little bit and say, fine, you're improving this and this, but I'm going to make sure this doesn't go well. And it helps if you are more tenacious. So let's not only look for the weak links, let's also practice, having some conviction, because there's no sense in you working on your weak link if you're going to be a coward and run as soon as it all kind of comes down to a battle of sorts. It's a metaphoric battle, but it's can you look at this? Can you own your part? What are you willing to do here in regards to this process? Stuff's coming up. I wanted to work on stuff, but I didn't know this was going to come up. Then don't even start working on it. It really takes only the courageous to get through these kinds of things. So if you want to work on your weakest link, great. If you don't, you could just end the video and just run, and just run and hide and be the proverbial ostrich, and fine, there you go. I don't think it's a great view looking down in the hole in the ground, but good luck. But those of you who say, you know what, I want to get this weak link thing. There's two things you're going to do with it, guys. You're either going to dissipate it or learn to accept it. I would say do both. Change what you can and accept what you cannot. And there's power in both. My gosh, the times that you say, well, I'm working on it, I hit it from all sides, it's still there. As soon as you see that it's still there and you feel, exasperated, frustrated, then you probably just recognize that there was an attachment rather than an acceptance. It's all right. Yeah, I did do what I could, and it still seems to be there. So I'm going to just accept that. It's like I'm trying to make a car payment on this really nice car I got, but then I got laid off, and then this happened, and that I can't make those payments now. Okay. What I'll do is I'll give it till the next 30 days, if I don't see enough money to come in to pay 2 payments, this is the kind of thing I would do. 2 payments, I'm going to let the car go. And there you have it. Stir the ethers with a statement, a proclamation. It's like a threat, really, in a good way. I'm going to put a limit on how far this is going to go. Now, the nice thing about that, my soul then can rest and say, wow, that means I put it out there. I'm going to get a couple payments worth of money coming to me miraculously. I'll make my payments, knock some of the debt down, and keep going. Feels good. Or it won't happen, and I'll let the car go. Either way, I'm less stressed. I'm either less stressed because I paid it, or I'm less stressed because I don't have the car and can get a different car and have less payments. I'm just determined to feel more peace and happiness. And if this car is in the way of that, then I'll let it go. What's in the way of that? Failure and all kinds of crappy belief systems and self-sabotage. Just don't buy into that as best you can. Do your best, though. Look at where your weak link might be. Look for patterns, the recurring, like I said, and so on. And then ask yourself, now that I know there's a weak link, am I courageous enough to start doing something about it? Because chances are when you focus and go for it, anything that is in the way, any you could call it DNA or matrix of the problem will start to expose itself. And are you willing to deal with that? And if your answer is anything but yes, you got to go hide and just own that. Just say, I'm just too scared. I'm not going to do it. Maybe in a year or two, I'll look at it. I think that's great because that's acceptance too in a form. On the other hand, you got the courage to let's go for it. Hit it from all sides. Let's divide and conquer, hit it from all sides and move through it as best we can. So let's change what we can. Let's stir the ethers. Let's say, I'm going to, the one thing I can't do is no matter what, I'm wealthy and I'm happy with friends, but I can't lose weight. I'm 200 pounds overweight, and no matter what, I can eat like a bird and the weight isn't going anywhere. Just change what you can and then accept, if it were me and I were 300 pounds or whatever, I'd buy a big fuzzy red suit and dress like Santa Claus and play the game, like I'm joking, but it's like, oh well, I've known wonderful people that are 300 pounds and rude people that are 100 pounds. It's like your weight doesn't determine who you are. Who you are is on a soul level. It's nothing you can see with the eyes or experience with the senses. So every time you decide to go after fixing something in an obsessive, unhealthy way where you're judging yourself, it's affirming that you're seeing yourself. You're already determined in judging that you're a flawed being, and if only you didn't have this external thing, you would feel different internally, and that's not true at all. Your internal is where it all matters, not the external. I'm not saying ignore the external. In fact, I'm saying if you have patterns that are in the inside manifesting on the outside, let's do something about it. But you can't only fix it on the inside. That's why I said we have to work on the stuff that starts to arise when we do become determined to work on whatever the issue is. So, it's just like step up, be willing to be courageous, step up. Let's get the life worked out. Believe in yourself, but beyond fixing the external thing, get a second job to make your car payment. That's not really what I was saying. If you want to do that, go for it. I'm talking about how do you feel more at peace. And the moral of this story and this talk is this, that whatever you think is your weakest link, here's how you pass that test. Here's how you fix it. It isn't going to be losing weight and making car payments. That will help. The only way that you actually succeed is when you feel peace around the topic. You're saying if I feel peace, then I'll have the money for the car payment. You might. I didn't say peace contingent on money, because that's fake peace. Peace contingent on having a womb that can bear children, contingent on having a life where you can experience partners. No contingencies, unconditional. I'm just going to feel peace. Just do the best I can. I'll put it out there. I'm not saying be negligent and expect everything to fall into place and then wonder why you don't feel peace. If you're 200 pounds overweight and you don't do any physical exercise of any kind, that might be kind of pushing the envelope. That's like the story of Jesus jump off the cliff and the angels will save you. And Jesus says, no, I'm not going to bother. He knows they could save him. He's saying, why do something stupid and put goodness to the test? Goodness just is. So he doesn't jump and expect goodness to save him. He's saying, I already feel good. Thanks. Good. I'm good. And it's the same for us. Feel peace and go to the gym. Feel peace and see if you can make that car payment. If not, get a different car. But try to really feel what I'm saying and not just hear it. What if we're okay? What if I'm already okay? Man, all the struggles. I'm still meditating every day and I still can't see purple or bright white light. So what? It's all right. All that is special effects. That's not the goal of meditation. Now the fact that you're ticked off that you don't see white light, you blew meditation anyway. Meditation's about feeling peace. Why don't you just feel peace? Because I didn't see the white light. Well, the white light isn't the peace. It's a symbol of the peace. That's all. As soon as I become okay with not seeing white light, I'm actually achieving what I tried to achieve in meditation. It's just really kind of cool if you think about it. You're already all right. That's truth in God. That's not just my opinion or even my just hopeful observation. It's you really are okay. We are okay. Every time we're trying to do as though there's something to do to fix me, we're off again. We have to center into being and recognize. My weakest link story here, this commentary, was not about just finding your recurring external flaw. Yes, look for that. But then learn to come to peace with it. That's the second half of the story. Not find it, fix it. That's a little bit more, A-type approach, A personality type, right? I'm talking about find your weakest link, and since it hasn't gotten fixed yet, go ahead and put some effort into fixing it. That's fine. But also come to peace with it. So ask yourself not how do I fix it? Yes, I'll do that. I will do that, but also, and most importantly, and how do I come to peace with it? I'm going to lose 100 pounds. If it happens, I want to be at peace. And if it doesn't happen, I want to be at peace. That's what I need to look for. How to do that. How do I come to peace with it? And if I need to lose 100 or whatever number of pounds and I have clothing that's my skinny clothes, from 95 years ago, and I'm just always beating myself up that I can't fit in them, you know what? Burn the damn things at some point because they're a symbol of guilt to you. I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying if it causes you stress to be able to see those and go, if only, just burn them. Just relax. It's okay. As long as it means you can find more peace. Maybe Jesus wore a robe because he was a little overweight and bulgy, and he didn't want people to see that. I'm joking, but come on, it's okay. Yeah, but I'm getting older. Jesus got older. He looked older when he was 30 than he was when he was 20. It's okay. Really? Jesus got older? Yeah. And he never thought even twice about, once probably even about it, but he didn't think twice about it. It's not like Jesus went, oh, God, I was hoping to be the Christ and save all humanity throughout all time and throughout all the universe, all beings of consciousness, but this little, bulge I've got in the midsection, this spare tire, is in the way. It just does. That's not what happens, guys. How do I find peace? How do I find peace? If I had a child, would I guilt that child into fixing? Really? Honey, you should be much thinner. The child's like, Mom, I'm 1. I'm still taking in high-fat content for a reason. And this is building my strength and body and so on. It's like, oh, just be quiet, Mom. Come on. Right? It's like it's okay. If your child gets a job and they come home at whatever age, 16, 18, whatever it is, and they get their first job and then you condemn them, oh, I can't believe you're working for that much. You should have got a job from... That's really kind of sick if you think about it. And all I ever have said, using analogies of younger people in our lives, is to say, you probably wouldn't be that abusive to someone else. If you have, just forgive yourself and own it. But you wouldn't typically be that way to other people, to young ones. And all I'm saying is just treat yourself with the same kindness. What is your weakest link? Maybe if you looked at all the weak link possible that people could have, and you pared it down to your 2 or 3, let's say, do you understand that really at the core, even behind them, your weakest link is that you even have weak links? The fact that you obsess on them and think you're flawed and you need to fix something, that's the weak link behind all weak links. And so divide and conquer, hit it from all sides. It's a lot less effort if I just learn acceptance. I'm just going to come to peace with such and such. I'm going to go ahead. I got 100 pounds to lose. I just make the number up, guys, but got 100 pounds to lose. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do is, instead of I'm going to lose 100 pounds by next month, that's not going to happen. And then you're going to, get down on yourself. I would just say, I'm going to just kind of make some changes and lose 3, 4 pounds a month, like a pound a week. Oh, but that's not at all very much. You know what? It's relaxing to not have to do it stressfully and in a program you won't be able to keep. I'm just making up a number, mind you. I don't mean literally only try to lose 4 pounds a month. I'm saying at least you're losing something. Find something you can manage, you can wrap your mind around, and most of all, that you can love yourself for. I wanted to always take an art class, but I always bail out, or classes or whatever it is that would improve me artistically, creatively, personally, psychologically, whatever. But what? Then let's do it. And that will expose the stuff inside that made me afraid in the first place. And when I'm willing to look at that stuff, I can heal it and change what was my external weakest link by working on my internal weak link. It's kind of cool if you think about it. So sometimes I talk about things that are, maybe funny or exciting, when I'm doing these talks. But sometimes it's just a heartfelt, more like sitting. It's just the feeling I had. I only had the idea to talk about this 2 minutes before we started. I swear to God on that. But it's what happens. And when I sit and do that, it's like I feel like I'm reaching out saying, guys, it's okay. Clients and sessions that I do every day on the phone and sometimes in person, to see how hard people are in themselves. I don't mind. I'm not shaming them for it. I'm just saying the compassion that I feel for people in such situations or circumstances is great. I just feel a great amount of compassion. But I'm also aware that, hey, the simple answer, go easy on yourself, man. It's okay. And if you don't go easy on yourself, is that God not going easy on you, or is that your ego that you're still allowing to run rampant? And it's very clear to me which one it is. I'm not saying ego like I'm blaming you. I'm saying it isn't God's advice that you do the being hard on yourself. Casey lost a hospital, Edgar Casey, and went broke a couple of times trying to help people. He was spending his life, so many of his waking hours, trying to help people, and they just wouldn't even give donations for the work he was doing. Now that was kind of crummy of those people, cheap of those people, selfish of those people. But those people aren't the ones that Jesus focused on when he was telling Helen the real situation. Helen, who wrote A Course in Miracles. He said it was Casey's own rejection of prosperity from his own religious upbringing, guilt-related upbringing. So we have to look at our own patterns, and so forth. I'm not saying what the people did was right. Again, it was selfish. But if Casey would have worked more on that issue in himself, that would have eased, and he would have attracted different people. Because there's people that are into, so-called healing, and there's some very big authors on the topic of healing that have made millions of dollars off of people because of their work in the healing field. And they've probably had an effect on 1% of the number of people Casey has had an effect on. Casey's work is still having an effect on people, and it just grows every year exponentially. It doesn't mean that they helped him at the time when he was struggling. It's kind of a sad thing, but I look at that as that's another human pattern that we can change if we want to. So look at what's a weak link for you. It is not, if only I didn't have this, I'd be all right. You're going to have something, guys. At the end of your life, you might still have something. If it's not health, it'll be finances. If not finances, I never had children. If it's not something haunting you, and all it is the ultimate finale, the test of tests for you in terms of your self-acceptance. Not acceptance for a lower self, your acceptance of, even when something looks like it's a pattern for me, it's not really who I am. It's just wardrobe. And when I leave, I'll drop the wardrobe. Next time around, I hope I can wake up while I'm still wearing the wardrobe so that I get it and I know the truth and just respect the illusion that it's just an illusion. And I don't let it get to me anymore. Well, if that's my ultimate goal, why don't I just get that now? Don't let the things shame you. Don't let them get to you like you may have once done. That's the idea. And what's funny is my weakest link might be nothing to you. Your weakest link might be nothing to the person to your right, the person you met, the last person you saw today, or the next person you see today. It may mean nothing, but that's kind of ironic because one person's just getting ulcers over their weak link and another person's like, what? That's like nothing. And never compare. Your weak link is worse than mine. Mine was worse than you. You just don't understand because mine's far worse. Guys, each person's weak link, each person's ego, each person's deepest fears, each person's biggest abuses, each person's biggest regrets, they're all the same. They are equally strong to each of us. Mine is mine, yours is yours, but mine is fully mine and yours is fully yours. Mine fully seems to scare me, yours fully seems to scare you. For the most part, that's the way the human race is. Generally speaking, there are exceptions. There are those of us who tend to wake up more and see through things more. We might still have weak links, but we wake up and we work through these things and then they have less effect on us. That's miracle mindedness, miracle consciousness. People that really, really live close and walk in the light of God. But even then, guys, oh my God, Yogananda, the world has rarely seen, especially in our time, a person has as together, call it enlightened perhaps, as Yogananda. I mean, he was just an amazing teacher, soul, etc. And he talks about a leg injury that he had once, and it caused him extreme pain every day of his life through the many years, last years of his life. Extreme pain. Nothing seemed to help. It's just like, and yet he would say, I'd get up, kind of hobble and wobble and limp to go and speak. I would sit down. When I was sitting and speaking, I'm in the zone, didn't notice it at all. It was gone. And that's true. That happens for me. It happens for a lot of us. When you're doing what you love, all else seems to disappear. But my point, though, was even Yogananda, Casey, it was the money. Yogananda, it was his leg. It's okay. Socrates, brilliant mind, but he was considered to be a highly unattractive, almost mutant looking person. His head had these strange, his forehead and his head had this strange kind of knobbiness to it. So it just looked malformed. Almost what you, not anywhere as extreme, but almost what we might liken to elephantitis, the effects of growth or whatever on the head, his skull. Not anywhere as extreme as that, but I'm just saying it's an example. He had that. No matter what, it was going to be there. Achilles' heel, Achilles, this great warrior and all that, but he had one area that was weak. And there's beautiful Greek mythology around that. He was held by one ankle, or whatever, and dipped in these holy waters when he was a child to be blessed with everything except the part of his ankle where his mother's hand held him while she dipped him in the holy water, didn't get washed. It's bathed. It's like, damn, like, God, why didn't you just get the rest of my heel or whatever? You just think that close. But that's the irony. It means it's also a metaphor of no matter how blessed you are, there's going to be a weak link. It's okay. No matter how, with all the great mythologies, no matter how blessed, there's still something. Whether you're Cupid or, whomever. You could be just gorgeous, blessed person. Narcissus was a gorgeous, blessed soul, just a beautiful, brilliant soul, a beautiful, loving soul. So much so that a goddess got ticked off at him and cursed him. Well, because you're so beautiful, I'm going to curse you and make sure that you have no way of actually fulfilling the ability to fall in love and experience reciprocated love and so forth. So he's not vain the way people have made that term to mean vanity. He was actually simply cursed. And it doesn't take away from the meaning of narcissism as a condition and all that. I'm just saying that that came from a mistranslation of a Greek mythology, a Greek myth, which is that, he was cursed. And so he was not permitted to uh, really respond with the love that people could naturally feel for him. As beautiful and wonderful as he was as a person, and everybody could sense, this guy's amazing. We love him, just naturally love him. Everybody's loving him and falling in love with him. But he wasn't able to reciprocate. And that was simply his weak link. Not bad link, just that was his thing. And in the mythology, in the myth, it's a curse from the gods and goddesses. But in another respect, you can get away from curses and just say that was one thing for him to just have to deal with and learn from. And whatever yours might be, whether you're the myth of Cupid or Persephone or Psyche or the Norse deities, male and female, or whether Roman or Chinese, any mythology, there's always still a problem. There's still something that haunts. Even Zeus, the great god of gods in Greek mythology, still had the frustration of the people, the human race, losing interest in worshiping gods that had this is in the Greek mythology. Remember, it's not God, it's human-like gods that we're talking about in the stories, that they had too much self-interest, and so the humans were losing interest in them. So no matter how much power you had, you still had an ego. In the Greek mythology, the gods still had an ego, and therefore they too had their flaw or their weak link. So if it's to the gods and goddesses, you can assume you're going to have them too, and it's okay. It doesn't make you bad. It means you're here on earth. You can be stellar and still have fears now and then. You can be amazing and still not have children. You can be creative and still not know how to sing. It's okay. How is it that I can write songs and I can't sing? It doesn't matter. If your songs that you write are fantastic, everything's okay. I'm doing a past life course, a course on how our past lives affect us, and that kind of weaves into this. But whether you look at past lives or childhood, you can track down all these things and learn to transform them and heal them. But at the end of the day, with all my courses, my healing, my counseling, my sessions, and all that, you're gonna drop the burdens and the anchors, the weights off of your soul in so many ways. You're gonna feel like you're just going to whole new levels of consciousness and whole new levels of living. I think it's fantastic. But you still might end up with something of a weak link somewhere. And I'm saying be okay with that, knowing that you healed so many other areas. Now, if you did a lot of work and nothing helped any area of your life, I think you're listening to the wrong teacher for today. That's for you today. Doesn't mean they're wrong for anybody else, but it's not working for you, find someone else. If nothing's improving, come on, just adjust, find something else. Micro adjustments, major adjustments, whatever you need to do. But I would make changes. But again, don't get disheartened that you change all these things and there's something still haunting. The truth is, I personally believe that one of the things that we will not usually look at or own is that we're often the ones that keep a little bit of a subtle attachment to that weak link. It's almost like, really, if you tune into it, guys, okay, what if I really didn't have that weak link? Here's what really is there. I'm just telling you. You may not want to admit it, but it's there. Most of us will say there's something where if it was gone, what would I talk about? What would I use as an excuse to not achieving or not getting somewhere or whatever? What would I use then to get attention and pity from people? I swear, there's these really subtle, twisted agendas we have to keeping our weak link. And it takes a really courageous soul to be able to look at that. It really takes a lot of courage to say to a partner, a job, I'm going to rethink this and look at another job, even if I'm going to make less. That's a scary realization to have. To say to a partner, I'm afraid to call you on this, but there's something that we're struggling with here, and if it doesn't change, I might move on. at the risk of upsetting them and then blaming you and shaming you and screaming. Oh, I don't know. You're the one who has to face that. Job, partner, the reactions. But we often overlook the reactions we'll have when we look at our own stuff, when we call ourselves on things. And it's pretty strange that we want to keep these things, but we're actually addicted to them. I think there's a video you can watch. It's free on YouTube of mine under the probably under the playlist of psychology, but it's our addiction to negative emotions or negative experiences. It's worth looking at because people have addictions to negative things. Alrighty? So thank you very much for your time today. I wish you well, and I extend deepest love and respect and appreciation for you. God bless you all. Peace be with you, and thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.